Hey guys, it's Kevin again. This is my review for Arrow, Season 3, Episode 13, Canaries. And oh my god, guys, this was by far the best episode of the season. So many reveals in this episode. This episode was just huge. So much happened in this episode. So many reveals happened. So much emotional stuff happened as well. This episode was really about keeping secrets and how you really shouldn't keep secrets from family because eventually it's just going to bite you in the end. I think that's really what this episode was about, was how the guilty just bites up inside you, and I loved about this episode. But let's just get into it because it was by far the best episode. We start off, and it's really weird how this episode started off, because when it was started off, I'm like, what's going on here? Because we see Sarah and Laurel both fighting as Canaries, and it's like, well, Sarah died, so what the hell's going on? I thought this was going to be a dream sequence. They're fighting, and Sarah bests Laurel, however, saying that Laurel's an imposter, and she's about to deliver a killing blow. And then the show cuts back to 48 hours later. What? I have no idea what that, meant. I like that they do that because it's the intrigue. It makes you want to watch this episode. So Sarah busts a crime as Canary. She goes a little too hard on the criminals, though, when she, Laurel's busting a crime as Canary. She goes a little too hard on the criminals, though, which earns the ire of a nearby Arrow. So, furious, Oliver tells her to stop her activities, and Oliver and Roy return to the foundry where Malcolm is waiting for them, because of course Malcolm's working with them now. And he tells Oliver that Roz and League of Assassins are coming to Starling City and will seek revenge on Thea for killing Sarah. And Malcolm also tells Oliver that in order to protect her from the League, he must let Thea in on his secret about being the Arrow. And the second he said that, I was like, I don't know if he's actually going to do that, but basically, he has to do that. So the next day, Count Vertigo holds a press conference outside the Starling City court, a house before his trial, and the cops suddenly lose control of himself, however, drugged by Vertigo, and opens fire on the crowd. And using the chaos as an opportunity to escape, Vertigo flees to the city. So, of course, as I said, how this whole episode was the best secrets, this right here shows, because what has been the one secret that Oliver has never wanted to tell was telling Thea that he is the Arrow. She's the only one that doesn't know, because, everybody else knows. She's the only one. So I had no idea how Thea was going to react here. When he visits Thea at Verdun, he says that he must tell her something and leaves her downstairs into the foundry, and also we still see that Thea is with Chase, and it's just not too much development there, but we definitely see that Chase is definitely, we know that there's something about Chase, we just don't know what it is yet. So Thea actually doesn't seem too stunned to see Oliver's base of operations, or that Oliver is Arrow, piecing together the recent months' events, and it really shows that Thea's not stupid, she's not an idiot, and she apologized for being angry at Oliver for all the times he flaked on the family in the past, now understanding that he was doing that saving lives, and especially because he was the only reason he sacrificed himself was to save her life, and she thanks him for his efforts as the Arrow and embraces him, and just that whole scene, I was surprised. I really was surprised that she was not mad at him. But I gotta say, it was very well done because, it makes sense. Again, she's not dumb. She knew all along. She understood why he couldn't tell her. He didn't want to tell her because she was his sister. He didn't want to tell her just because he didn't know how she was going to react. Because he says how he thought she'd be mad and everything, and I thought that was a very well done scene. So Oliver and Theo go back to the apartment where Oliver explains that Malcolm also knows that he is the Arrow, and Malcolm then enters the room and Oliver explains that all three of them must work together to survive Ra's al Ghul's invasion. And Thea disagrees, though, furious. Basically, he's doing this because Ra's al Ghul was coming after everyone, and she blames Malcolm for Ra's invasion and refuses to work with Malcolm because Malcolm told her that there was nothing to worry about and that nobody else really cared about her and everything. So she's pretty pissed at Malcolm, which is understandable. I can understand why she's pissed at Malcolm. There were flashbacks in this episode, but I'm not really going to talk about them because they weren't as important as what was going on with the central story. They didn't really have to do with the central story, so from now on, if the flashbacks don't have to do with the central story, I'm just not going to talk about them because they're not as important. So in the present, Team Arrow reviews the footage of Vertigo's escape, and Laurel comes in and surmises that a reporter drugged the cop who opened fire on the crowd, and Laurel then tries suiting up as Canary, but Oliver tells her to stop. He accuses her using the Canary persona as a coping mechanism for Sarah's murder. So Oliver then goes to the reporter's home with Arsenal, but the reporter is wired with a bomb, and he explains that Vertigo will kill his wife if he tells the truth, and Oliver and Roy try stopping him from triggering the detonator, but the reporter won't listen, blows himself sky high, but Oliver and Roy are able to jump out of a nearby window before the blast hits them, and on the street below, Count Vertigo is watching the explosion. So Oliver returns to his apartment where Thea is up waiting for him, and he explains how he and Roy barely escaped Vertigo's explosion. And he says that it's his job to keep everyone safe, including Thea. He tries convincing her once again they need Malcolm in order to stop Roz, but she won't agree because she doesn't really want to work with him. Again, it's understandable. I like that she is mad at him and not Oliver, because she has a reason to be mad at Malcolm. I mean, he wanted to get her out of the city when she could have known all along. So I understand that she's mad at, Malcolm and not Oliver. I definitely understand that. So Oliver returns to his apartment where basically the next morning, Captain Lance, Lance visits Laurel at her office, and he asks Laurel if she's seen Sarah in the past few weeks. Because, of course, Sin told him last week that it was not Sarah that was the Black Canary, it's someone else, and basically he's explaining what Sin told him a few nights before, and that the canary running around Starling City isn't Sarah. So he wants to know who it is and find out what's really going on there, because he's completely in the dark about everything. And in the foundry, Roy and Thea are talking. Thea explains that she doesn't want to work with Malcolm under any circumstances. And I like that Roy and Thea are friends. I definitely am enjoying that they are staying as friends. Oliver interrupts their chat, however, pulls him down to the foundry, and Team Arrow has a lead on Vertigo, and it's Laurel. She managed to find Vertigo and is attempting to take her down himself, and Roy and Oliver suit up and go after Canary. So at Vertigo's base, Laurel takes out Vertigo's goons, but Vertigo gets the jump on Sarah, injecting her with his Vertigo serum. Hallucinating, she avenges Vertigo as Sarah. So this was very interesting when we saw this. That explains the opening scene, is that she basically... What I like about Vertigo is that he might be one of the best procedural villains we've had on the show, because he makes you think of your secrets and your greatest secrets, and just, it gets so much out of Laurel. It makes Laurel realize a lot of things, and I love that. This was probably the best episode that Laurel has had all season, definitely. I loved Laurel's character in this episode, definitely. So Vertigo basically is about to finish off Canary, but Arrow hits him with an arrow, and Oliver and Roy are about to apprehend the Count, but two of his thugs enter the fray and distract them while Vertigo flees. The duo are about to pursue, but the drugged Laurel requires their immediate attention. They decide to let Vertigo escape and tend to Laurel, and they bring Laurel to the foundry. There, Laurel continues to see everyone as Sarah. That was honestly a very weird scene. I think that's very well done the way they do that. It was in Laurel's perspective, which I liked, and Thea then enters the cave and asks to talk to Oliver, but Oliver commands her to leave, and Roy is telling Oliver to back off, and Oliver questions his insubordination, and Felicity then jumps into the argument. Not really in this episode a lot. Felicity's not really in this episode a lot, and she's saying that in Oliver's absence, the team learned to act and cooperate on their own, and even though Oliver's back, they're going to continue making their own calls, which is understandable, because honestly, they learned to function without Oliver, and now Oliver's back, he can't just keep calling all the shots. I do agree with Felicity there, but at the same time, Oliver's their leader. He is their leader. He's the one that put them together, but I do understand what Felicity's saying, that they can't just rely on Oliver for everything, and I like that she said that. I know that she's pissed at him right now. I know she really wants nothing to do with him, but at the same time, she does have some good points there, and I do agree with what she's saying. And she says that they can't just rely on him. So outside Verdant, Thea bumps into Chase. She kisses him and asks to hook up. Sadly, Roy sees the whole thing, and kind of dumb, but, that's how it is on these shows, that, the past boyfriend sees the whole thing. That's how it always is, but I mean, that was well done, I guess. So inside Verdant, Oliver and Diggle are discussing the earlier argument, and Diggle tries explaining the group's newfound independence, saying that the team is no longer Team Arrow, but Starling City's protectors in their own right, which is kind of true, because, I mean, they're no longer Team Arrow because he's been gone. So they're now the people that Starling City needs to protect them. And I like that Diggle said that, because it's true. they really are just the ones that need to protect Starling City. They're not just this small group called Team Arrow, because, before they were just Team Arrow, but now that everybody knows them, they're more than that, which I like that Diggle's saying that. It really shows how far they have come. So Laurel comes to, and she explains to Felicity what she saw in her vision and how Sarah's ghost still haunts her. And Felicity explains that Laurel and Sarah are not the same person, suggesting that Laurel should stop trying to be Sarah and just be herself. Which I like that Felicity said that, because I don't think Laurel's trying to be Sarah. She's just trying to do what Sarah did. And Felicity then gets a lead on Vertigo's whereabouts and his master plan to drug Starling City with his Vertigo serum. And at Thea's apartment, she and Chase lie in bed. The two then share a glass of wine, but Thea gives Chase a strange look. She knows that something is up with this guy and tries stabbing him with a knife. And I like that Thea realized something's up with Chase, because he just seems too perfect. He does. Definitely, we know he's working for Mazeo. We know that, and we don't know what it is about him. So he then reveals him, and we find out what he is. He is a member of the League of Assassins. He tries killing Thea, but he's stopped by Roy and Malcolm begins to interrogate Chase about Ra's plans for Starling, but the assassin takes a poison pill, and, yeah, so he's a member of the League of Assassins, and he's working with Ra's al Ghul. So basically, that's really big. We don't know what else is going to happen there. We'll have to see, what else is going to happen with him. But that's really all we see with Chase in this episode. So we know something's off with Chase. We just don't know what else is going on with this character. And I like that we don't know really what's going on there. So back in the Foundry, the team is devising a plan to stop Vertigo, who's holding a laboratory hostage and forcing its scientists to produce Vertigo serum. And Oliver can't find Roy, so he takes Laurel instead, and they track Vertigo to the lab, where Vertigo creates a massive fire as a distraction. And as Arrow saves the hostages, Laurel goes after Vertigo, and Vertigo drugs her again and transformed into Sarah once more. So it's a Canary rematch, but then Vertigo turns into Captain Lance, and this scene was just so well done, because it's everything that Laurel is thinking. And it's really well done, because, it's everything that Laurel's thinking. It's everything that she has in her mind, and just all of Laurel's insecurities and fears begin to compound. Because, Quinn's yelling at her, Lance is yelling at her, saying, "Why'd you do this to me? How could you not tell me the secret? How could you not tell me that Sarah's dead?" and everything, like he's screaming at her. And Laurel escapes Vertigo's chokehold, beats him into submission, but doesn't overdo it, and Oliver sees the entire ordeal and Laurel's display of restraint. He tells Felicity over radio that the ordeal is over, but Felicity corrects him. She brings him up to speed on the developments with Thea, Chase, and Roy, and now he knows what's going on there, and that's not going to end well. So Laurel has now conquered her fear through Vertigo, and she visits Lance at the Starling City Police Department, and she confesses that even though Sarah's long dead, she's been standing in for her as Canary. And the news basically he thought that what was going on was that, Sarah was nowhere to be found, and Sarah was nowhere to be found, and she was just being the Canary. But I like that she finally told Lance, because she had to tell him. I knew at some point that she would tell Lance, and finally she tells him in this episode. It drops him into his chair. He's mourning the loss of Sarah, and it's so sad to see. First of all, he's dying. We know he's dying, and his health and everything is an issue. We know that's going on. And just to see what's going to happen to him, I am very interested in seeing what's going to happen to Lance after this episode. I know it's the right thing to do, but there's a part of me that's just like, maybe you shouldn't have told him right now, because the second she tells him, he just gets so upset about it, and it really makes us concerned about Lance, definitely. It really makes us concerned about what's going to happen to him. I'm sure he's going to be okay, but I'm interested in seeing what's going to happen there. That was such a sad scene to watch, and just so sad what happened there, definitely. I really felt bad for Lance and, for Lance and Laurel, definitely. That was a very hard thing for Laurel to do. Lance's reaction, though, once again, it was not like he was freaking out about it, which just seemed to be a pattern of the episode, is that the characters think that they're going to freak out about it, and they don't freak out. He didn't freak out at, just like Thea didn't freak out at Oliver, Lance did not freak out at Laurel. He told her that he was pissed, but he's happy he told her, and I think he's just, so upset that that's why he did not freak out about it. So, such a hard scene to watch, but you knew was coming, and I love that. So Oliver heads to Thea's apartment where Thea, Roy, and Malcolm stand around Chase's dead body because, Chase is now dead, which was huge to see, and I was surprised that Chase died in this episode. But Thea says that she didn't ask to get sucked into the League's activities, and she understands now she must work with Malcolm, but she will not enjoy it. And, that's the whole reason why she has to work with Malcolm, is because she was working with someone on the League of Assassins. So Malcolm understands, but says that Thea must prepare herself to get ready for the League, and because she's going to become part of the League of Assassins, and Malcolm says she must accompany him and Oliver to an unknown but important location, and when he said them, where are they going? So Oliver says goodbye to the team, trusting them to protect the city in his absence because he thinks they're ready for the most part. Because, Felicity's saying that they're fine, so he thinks that they're ready, and Thea says goodbye to Roy, giving him a kiss on the cheek before departing, and the three of them begin their trek into the forest, but the question is, where are they? They are in the island of Lianwu, the location of Oliver's transformation from basically, it's the same island that Oliver was on when he first turned into a warrior. Basically when he got on the island with Slade and all of them, that's where they are. So it looks like Thea's going to be there as well, and she's going to become like Oliver, and wow, that was such an amazing cliffhanger. And wow, this was an amazing episode. It really was an amazing episode. All the revelations, I just loved it. So let's talk about, there's a lot to talk about right now. First of all, I really want to talk about Laurel in this episode. Laurel had by far the best stuff in this episode. I loved everything that was going on with Laurel. Just her envisioning Sarah and her finally telling Lance. So many great reveals there. I absolutely love that she finally told Lance because she had to tell him eventually. You knew she had to. And I just love that. I love that she finally just told Lance the truth. How is he going to take this? I don't know. It seemed like it really hit him hard. So I'm very interested in seeing how Lance is going to take this from here on out. I don't know how he is going to be with this, but it's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen there. Thea and Oliver, it's going to be pretty awesome to see Oliver training her. Now, as far as Chase being dead, Ra's al Ghul definitely is not going to take this well. Ra's al Ghul's going to freak out about it. He's probably going to go after them. I know in the next episode, Deathstroke's coming back, which is going to be awesome to see. I can't wait to see Deathstroke back. That's why the episode's called The Return, because Deathstroke's back, and that was pretty awesome. As far as Felicity, is Team Arrow really ready for training by them, without Oliver? Are they really ready for doing that? Because Felicity claims that they are, but I don't know if that's 100%, certain that they really are ready to work without Oliver. I think they are, but you never really know. I just don't know if they're ready without Oliver. We'll see what happens there. I really like the villain, as I said. I thought he was pretty awesome what happened there. Very, very awesome villain, definitely. Thea, I can't wait to see Thea's transformation, because definitely Thea needs to realize what's happening to her and everything. That's going to be interesting to see. I can't wait to see Thea transform into basically what Oliver's become, because I definitely feel like that's what's going to happen here, is that Thea's eventually going to transform into what Oliver's become. Definitely, I'm looking forward to that. I'm definitely thinking that soon Oliver's going to break his promise, because now that he's told Thea what's happening, now that he's told Thea that he is the Arrow, he really does have no reason to not kill people anymore. Because the whole reason was so Thea wouldn't find out and everything, and to protect his mother and things like that. And also, I forgot to say, I like that he told Thea that Moira knew. She just never told Thea, and that's why she felt very upset about it. But overall, guys, by far best episode of the season. Absolutely loved it. That's it for my review. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you guys saw this episode. Overall, guys, by far best episode of the season. I'll see you guys in my next video, which will be my review for tonight's episode of The Americans, which I cannot wait for. And I will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.